So rude.
Not rude.
Okay,
But
we're
I'm
doing a live show. We're live. What? This is in the way.
What is?
My computer.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, on mine it's completely like the entire screen is my computer. Because you're away. You got all the desk.
I don't.
You didn't leave me any. My computers have to.
Are you
like
crazy?
this.
I'm hanging off the desk.
Not at all. Look, mine's like having to hang all the way off.
I just pushed mine to the edge, and I have my look. This whole.
I'll just hold it.
This is where the end of the desk is. Look.
I'll just hold it.
Look, stupid.
No.
My computer's off the
desk. You
need
to look.
You're stupid.
You're stupid.
Just put it like mine is.
No, because it takes up the whole screen. Oh, you can see my legs. This is not okay. There's so much wrong with this video right now.
You should not worry about your dumb legs.
That's okay, because I got a blanket with the face of my beautiful cat on it. So there you go.
You're a dumb woman.
You're a dumb woman. How do you like that? Because, see, that's all you see is my laptop. I'll move it over here. Like this. Hi.
That's the stupidest thing. Why don't you roll your chair over here and you put it in your chair then?
I guess so. Hold on. Don't worry. There's a chair. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. I'll put this right here. Okay. I guess that works. It's a little bit weird.
You don't really do anything with it.
I like to chat and look up things.
And that's why you're always not paying attention.
I guess so. Here, and I need a pillow for my back. Hey, sweet dog. Hi. 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 Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We need a bigger table, but that's not too high and not too low. So I'll just put that on the Amazon wish list and send it out to you guys. Hook us up. All right. Check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Thank you for watching us right now on YouTube and Facebook. You can also find us on the Instagram and the Twitter.
No, but if we do the setting like I was just talking about, then we go back to the other table and then it's fixed.
But that other table is too tall. That's the problem with that table. It's like
maybe you're just too short.
I'm not too short. I am normal size.
You are not normal size.
Everyone else is gargantuan.
No, everyone is not. You're a small person.
I am a normal sized woman.
No, you're
and
not.
I think most
There's
people.
Nothing normal about you as a woman.
Most people I know are my size. Oh. All the ladies I know are my size. So I don't know what's wrong with everyone else. And I think it would be horrible to be tall. You don't fit anywhere. Fancy cars are not made for you. Little Camaros and Corvettes are not made for you. They're made for people my size. Airplanes, my size. Cabs, my size.
I'm just going to let her go. This is what we do. I have to deal with.
What else? Everything's my size. Go-karts, roller coasters, bumper cars. What else do you want to know? They're all made for my size.
Let me know.
I'm almost done. All right, we're going to talk about movies. That's all. Somebody over here is very tired. He worked very hard today. Man, you know what? Now my arm's hurting up here, like when I'm punching things. And I don't know. Don't ask why I was punching. I'm just walking around doing this, and it's hurting up here now too. So what is that about?
We've been live for 3 minutes, and she has not stopped talking, and I have not been involved in this conversation.
Why don't you start some conversation? It's your turn. Okay.
Why don't you do the normal spiel for the show?
I did.
Did you?
Yes.
It was lost in all
you were too busy on your phone instead of paying attention.
I was sharing our show out while you were talking.
I need to do that. Let me share.
Oh, he'll kill me now.
He won't. He wants you to be with me forever.
Why do I have to suffer
so? Thank you, Jesus.
Anyway, what are we talking about today?
You're going to say some stuff.
I'm going to say some stuff?
Yeah.
About what?
About movies. That's what the show's about. We talk about movies, and we fight about them, and then I'm right about what it's about.
You're never right about anything.
Yes, my opinion is all that matters.
Your
in the
opinion
world.
is the most far out there that...
It's far out in a happening kind of way.
This is not going to work. My nerves already.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to keep it upbeat and lighthearted.
All right. Well, we only watched 2 movies, so I didn't tell her, so I'm throwing a curveball into this.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to talk about our 2 movies, but since we haven't been doing TV Tuesday, we're going to throw some of the TV discussions. But I think instead of talking about the actual TV shows, we're going to talk about some DVD release or Blu-ray release shows. Okay. Some of you've seen, some of you haven't. That way I'll feel a little more context today. And it's stuff that we've been putting off because we haven't been able to do the show. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of regular TV shows to talk about if we actually do an episode this week.
Yeah.
So we have 2 movies. One, what What is the second one we watched? No, I'm just going blank.
That.
Because
we watched it 2
yeah,
weeks
one
ago.
of them was a digital / limited release, theatrical release, and another one was supposed to be a theatrical release, but it's the first film that was picked up by HBO Max as the first feature-length film, I guess, for the thing. So, which one would you like to talk about first?
Let's talk about that one because that's the one we watched first a few weeks ago.
All right. So, do you want to tell them about it?
Yes, this movie is called The Tax Collector, and I have to go look it up because I don't remember by now.
The Tax Collector
It's been a while.
It's a new movie from David Ayer,
yes.
Who is the director of Fury, End of Watch. I believe he did Suicide Squad. I believe he did Bright, which is the one with Will Smith and the like the ogre police squad and stuff.
Yeah, which I liked. I know people probably didn't like it.
He did the movie Harsh Times. He has a very gritty nature to a lot of his films. He actually grew up in South Central Los Angeles. He is a white man. And
this is a movie that had a little controversy.
Yeah, so the movie stars Bobby Soto, Shia LaBeouf, George Lopez.
Yes,
and rapper.
What's
it? Conejo.
Conejo means a rabbit. And he was a real rabbit.
He's a real rabbit?
He was. He's a real rapper. Sorry, did I say?
You said rabbit, and I was like,
he's a real rapper.
I'm like, does Conejo mean rabbit? And then you said he's a real rabbit. And I'm like, really?
Sorry, I meant to say he's a real rapper, but he might be a real rabbit.
This
movie has so much going on.
So there's hit and miss with the movie. So first, let's discuss the controversy to get it out of the way. I did the same thing in the review.
Okay.
The biggest controversy came from the trailer. When the trailer came out, first it got attacked for, oh God, more bad lights on the Hispanic culture, only showing the crime and this and that. You know, because the movie's like a gangster flick. Organized crime and cartels and that kind of thing. And then you had Shia LaBeouf. Seemingly playing a Hispanic cholo type hitman character, very with the sunglasses, the head up, very stereotypical for the vibe, and so people immediately go into the whitewashing argument, despite everybody else in the trailer being Hispanic.
Yes,
he's the only white person. I think he might be the only white person in the movie.
Yeah,
isn't he?
Yeah, there's a lot of Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, black gang. He might be the only white guy.
So, but rest assured, this is not a whitewashing, racist thing. This is basically a white person that grew up in that culture and that community, and in turn has taken on some of the mannerisms, which happens all the time.
Yep,
I know because I grew up around a lot of Hispanic people and a lot of some Asian, and you start talking like you act like your types of music change the way the culture you grew up around, the people you're around, and even David Ayer, when he came out and kind of talked about it, he goes, "This is what I grew up around, and these are the people that I saw." And he may not be fully immersed like Creeper, who's the character, but he has that same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. So first and foremost, before we start getting people, the three people that might pay attention to it start complaining and saying, "Oh, this is what," it's not at all.
And even so, he's not the central focus of it.
No, which kind of bummed me out.
He's part of the story.
I thought he was going to be heavier. He's there the whole time.
He's a big part of the story, but it's an ensemble. So
and one of the things I thought was weird is because there was also a big story that came out that Shia LaBeouf is known for drastic method acting.
Yeah.
Getting things done to himself, like in Fury, he didn't think the makeup looked good enough for the cut on his face, so he spent the entire production recutting his real face.
Which is weird.
Because he wanted that look. He had one of his teeth removed for one movie. I think it was Lawless, because his character gets tooth knocked out or something. I don't remember exactly the story. And so he wanted to look like. So in this one, he got his entire chest tattooed with the creeper or whatever thing on there, which I thought was really cool initially, but then it seemed like a waste for the movie because it didn't even show it till like one scene at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I expected some scene with his shirt off.
But then now he's also going to have Creeper on him forever.
Yeah, but he was already tattooed up anyway.
I mean, I guess.
It's actually not any different than the way I do my tattoos, which they have a meaning to me.
Yeah.
So his
like,
has a
hey,
meaning.
This is that movie.
You know, and in the bigger picture, knowing he got that and his keeping that connection in the movie, I got to interview Bobby Soto, which I haven't got to post the interview yet. Not because it's not allowed to, I just haven't got around to getting it done.
You better hurry.
But they became close friends after the film, and they opened a theater thing, which we talked about on the show. What movie did we watch? Was that Peanut Butter Falcon, or was it
Peanut Butter Falcon,
something else? But we were talking about he had started doing a like a community type theater, and they've had like kids get TV shows or people that get whoever's in the theater. It was him and Bobby Soto got to put the theater together, so they're like real life partners and friends, and so I can even see a bigger meaning to that character or tattoo connecting because they're like best friends in the movie. So anyway, so what did you think of the film?
I enjoyed this movie. It's crazy. It's a little over the top, and I know it's kind of a little bit of gang culture or drug culture.
A little. That's all the movie is.
But it's actually really interesting because it takes you into like how it's modernized now and how, you know, they're tracking things and how the whole system works and where the money goes and how it ends up back this way or that way, and how the people in prison are still involved with what's going on outside and they know everything. And Uncle George is involved and he's crazed. I like George Lopez in this.
I like George Lopez too. Like, he is, and I
movie.
like, you know, we've seen George Lopez do a couple of more serious type roles, but I like when he gets to do that. I like anytime a comedian or somebody that's not known for the kind of role they take on steps in and they carry it and they're able to, you know, because you're not looking at it and say, oh, George Lopez. You believe him as the character. And same thing with Shia LaBeouf. You don't just see, oh, there's crazy Shia. Like, I love Shia LaBeouf. I think he's a great actor, and you see him as this guy, and he has, I don't know if I told you or not, but he has these two cauliflower ears in the movie, which, you know, a lot of MMA fighters people get where they're kind of the swollen ears. I asked Bobby Soto, I'm like, were those prosthetics? Or he wouldn't answer me. He was like, you'd have to ask Shia. You know, I'm like, come on, I just want to know, because it was very obvious, and I think the problem for me was not that he had them, because it could be part of the character, because there is a scene where you see Bobby Soto and two other people, and they're training jiu-jitsu, doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the movie. So I'm like, when they showed that, I'm like, okay, that's what it's going to be. So I thought maybe we would see him training or doing an MMA type fighting or something, and then but that never happened. And so I'm like, well, crap, you know. It was the same thing with the tattoo. We never really saw it until, even when you do see it at the end, it's got blood and stuff on it.
Well,
so
and that whole thing with that, it was kind of disappointing to me. I don't want to go into what happens, but there's this whole thing with Creeper. Oh. And I just like, really? That's how this is happening? Okay.
Which part do you mean, though? You mean just like where his character arc goes?
Yeah, it's too quick.
Well, the movie's short. It's like an hour and a half. Here's my thing with this movie. I really like this movie. I can also see why people wouldn't like this movie, because it's extremely violent.
It is, which I liked.
It is kind of a stereotypical cartel drug movie, but I love these kind of movies. I love these gangster, mob, whatever cartel things, and the violence and the deceptions and stuff. What I really would have preferred to see, though, is I would have loved to just see the evolution of, which they could do in a prequel if the film did well enough, of Creeper and the main guys,
people growing up,
because they have this really tight bond in the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm talking about they're getting in positions where, you know, Creeper could easily say nope. You know, but I'm like, why? Why are y'all so connected?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's an interesting story.
And I think, too, the other thing you see is his loyalty and actually his love for this guy, for the Bobby Soto character, because there's things where they get involved in some stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, everybody could just die right now. But he won't let that happen. He takes care of him. He watches out for him. He's got his back.
But there's also I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the one thing that I told you that it was like so interesting is like he's standing there and, you know, you watch him how he stands and he's always standing like this with his hands ready for the gun, right?
Yeah.
Or he like this or whatever. And there's this one scene where the guy gets in the car and he backs up slowly. Because he never turns his back on these people because I don't trust these people. Then he gets in the car and they drive away. So, I mean, that just shows you his devotion for his job.
Well, and also there's some very Scarface-like moments where people are being tortured and mutilated and stuff.
Yeah.
And from the trailer, it looked like that was going to be a lot of stuff we were going to get to see. And sadly, that whole section of that we get is more montage-ish and cutaways. We don't get as much of that.
Yeah, there's not a whole.
And it wasn't necessary to see.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see it. Like I see that build up, and I'm like, oh, I want to see him torture this guy, because I know that purpose was to really tell you how dangerous Creeper actually was.
Yeah.
Without really doing anything with him, but I wanted to see it. Like there's a
that's the thing. I think that's what I missed from his character is like I didn't get enough of that.
Well, I think that's the problem.
Become Creeper.
I think that's the problem. Is this movie?
Maybe we need another movie.
This movie's not about Creeper.
We need another movie.
This movie's not about Creeper, and we wanted more Creeper.
Yes.
But Bobby Soto is
he
great.
He did really good. I liked him. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else, but I really liked him. And I think the other thing I like about the movie is it mixes English and Spanish back and forth very easily.
Easy for you to say.
And there's no translation, which I personally enjoy, because I think when you immerse yourself in the film, you just get it. There's other films where we watched in different languages where there are no subtitles as well, but you get it. You understand what's happening.
You pay attention.
Yeah.
Well, I when I interviewed him, it was interesting because this jiu-jitsu scene in the movie is very short.
It's like maybe a minute or two.
Yeah, and it serves a point.
And you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and then
I was like, he's got the arm bars. Like,
but then you're like, okay, what was the point of that? It seemed out of place initially. And then it has kind of a cliche element to the end of the film.
Yeah.
So at first I was a little like, well, that was kind of a lame use of that. But I saw the point. But then it sadly, it's not going to get to most people. But when I was talking to Mr. Soto about the film, and when I asked him how he got involved in the film, he said him and David Ayer knew each other for over a year or so prior to the film because they were in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu together. But he didn't know he was that David Ayer.
Yeah, he didn't realize it was the movie
He was already an actor. Bobby Soto was already an actor, but he didn't know this was the guy that made Suicide Squad and Fury.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's just
And he said that they got to talking about it, and he goes, holy crap, you're that guy? And they became friends, and then he said, hey, I got this movie I want to do. Do you want to do it? And he's the guy in the movie where that scene, that is their jiu-jitsu instructor.
Oh, okay, that's
cool. The real thing. So that scene was worked in because of their connection.
Jiu-jitsu instructors stocky men? Because the other one that I know is a stocky man too.
A lot of them too.
Random. Sorry, continue.
There are not necessarily if you got Hoist Gracie and people like that. They're very
well, I don't think it really matters too. If you can get someone down and get them locked, it don't matter.
But yeah, it was. He said that scene was kind of incorporated in as more of a bond.
That's nice.
Which makes sense because in the movie he's using it because he's stressed. So he's going to this thing and he cuts away from a really stressful sequence to like this is him letting out his aggression, but it's also helping grounding. Which if you've never taken martial arts before, martial arts is very. It's not just the fighting. It grounds you mentally and physically and your center and everything else.
It really is.
It's very good for stress. Not just getting to punch people and realize stress you have, but
no, but too, I mean, you learn lessons from it, and I think later on in the movie we see some stuff that he remembers, like, oh yeah. The other thing that's awesome about this movie to me is how it's mixing in now the more modern version of how the cartels run, including the black arts and the worship of La Santa Muerte and all these things, which are much more of a more modern twist of what's actually happening in cartels and religion.
That is part of my problem with the film.
Oh, but
and it's not because
it really is.
Here's this, not because it's bad, because it felt out of place, and because they went so far into it.
I know, but there are other movies that have had it.
Oh, I know. Marked for Death, one of my favorite Steven Seagal movies. The main bad guy is this guy Screwface, and it's all the Jamaican black magic and shaman stuff. It's very similar.
The last Bad Boys, the lady was worshiping something.
And all that's fine. I think my issue here, and again, it went too far into where it almost became comic bookish to me.
Well, he was doing some.
You know what I mean? Like, because you had there's like a lady that's fully painted that comes out of the shadows,
which I thought that scene was cool.
It was cool. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
It just to me didn't fit the rest of the movie. You know what I mean? Like I liked that I liked that that was the different take of that kind of cartel rising up versus the old school.
Well, and if you saw, it was really a good versus evil, because the Bobby Soto guy's super, by the book Christian kind of guy, even though he's in the cartel. But he's saying, okay, God, please protect me, protect my family. So he's in that mindset. And the other guy is like, hey, evil spirits, give me power.
Yeah. No, like I said, it didn't mess it up. It just
killing the chicken.
I thought it. There was just, I guess, the way it was handled.
Maybe it was just too.
It felt. No. It just felt slightly out of place. I think had they done all that same stuff but toned it down, maybe toned down some of the visuals, because like when you go into their lair,
they had a whole lair.
It felt like you're in a horror film instead of a crime film. And so maybe had they toned down some of the symbols on the walls and stuff, because this one, was everywhere, which is cool, but I think it felt too much. It felt too. Hey, don't forget this is what we're doing.
Devil worship was too devil worshipy.
No. It felt too much like it was trying to let me know what was going on instead of. I felt like it was kind of pushing it in my face instead of saying like, look, here's this guy. When you're putting blood on him or this, that was enough.
Yeah.
That told me
he's a little bit evil.
That he was crazed.
Yeah.
And that guy did an okay job.
He did, the Conejo.
Yeah.
And the Conejo was really involved in drugs and stuff, and he was on the run from the law, and he did some time in jail, and now he's an actor.
Poor David Ayer. He takes a lot of crap for some of his movies, man.
Why?
But I love his movies.
Why? He does good stuff.
I think it's because of the culture stuff. Like, there's a lot of people. I read a lot of reviews for this movie that bashed it. Most of them talked about the Shia LaBeouf thing not being so much, but you could tell the people that got that and didn't.
Yeah.
They're like, Shia LaBeouf is clearly just playing a wannabe. He's not actually playing Mexican. So it's like you could tell that they didn't understand the culture.
They didn't get it.
But then there was a lot of them were just, it was that same, and I get it. I could understand somebody of a Hispanic nature saying, great, another movie portraying Hispanics as criminals and bad guys. But this is kind of different to me than making them just be drug dealer number one.
Yeah, no.
This is like stuff that happens.
It's very much a story about friendship, family, love, that sense.
Betrayal.
But that sense of whatchamacallit, because of your family, where you feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have a choice?
Yeah, you don't have a choice because you have to do the family. So I feel like it mixes in all of these things, and it just happens to be in this culture.
Yeah.
Of the
but
I
get the argument, but we also got to remember we're in a time right now where everything is about, we need representation, we need this, and I'm telling you, George Lopez is one of the biggest fighters for Hispanic representation and respect and pay and immigration and all these things. And for him to show up in this movie, you would think that would be the first thing to say, hey, he must see something here for that culture.
Yeah.
But again, most of the people that tend to argue about this stuff are the white people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's tell some other stories. Let's do a romantic comedy with some Hispanic leads.
But then they won't go see it.
But then
That's
you
the
have
problem.
like Jennifer Lopez, and you're like, oh, Jennifer Lopez is trying to be white. Well, what do you want? I mean, we can't win either way. So I'll go watch this Bobby Soto guy in a romantic movie. Rare. But he was cute,
There's a lot of makeup on.
But, I don't know. I go back and forth. I get it.
I get it too, but look, I don't want.
Again, he said David Ayers is like he writes what he knows. This is what he knows.
This
was his upbringing.
Like, he didn't grow up in the cartels, but he grew up in that neighborhood.
Up in the environment of, okay, you have the Hispanic groups, you have the black groups. Where do I fit in? Okay, so
it was he reminds me very much. I talked to you about it, the blood in, blood out, the white guy who's half white, half Hispanic in the gang culture, but he's outcast because he's white. But he talks like the cholo and everything else because that's what he grows up around,
It's a little puppet all over again.
Pretty much. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good.
Movies. I think most of them are pretty good.
Like I said, I felt there was some stuff that was rushed. I thought it seemed kind of to end abruptly.
Yeah.
Like the some of the climax stuff seemed kind of not anticlimactic, but just.
It was fast at the end. Like, some things just kind of happened too fast.
And there's not a lot of character building.
Okay.
There's some, but there's not as much as I was hoping for. You know, but so I'm hoping to maybe, and from my understanding, the movie did really well.
Did it? Okay.
But, I mean, I think, of course, we're in a time when there's not a lot out, but I think I've read somewhere that it did really well for the kind of film that it is. So why is the Joker on there with him?
I don't know.
Did he have any
What do you have to do with it?
I don't know. Hold on. Now we're looking at something
Writer?
else.
Was he a producer? Maybe.
I don't think he had anything to do with it.
No idea.
Huh.
Was he in it?
I don't think so. I don't think he had anything to do with it.
No idea.
Maybe it's a thanks.
Who knows?
Weird. Okay.
Oh well.
Sorry.
We just worked.
Anyway, so it's available now on demand, digital, whatever.
This poster is cool too.
I like
this poster. If we can get that, that'd be awesome. I would hang that out.
Well, I can email them and ask them
okay.
to get one.
That is a cool looking poster.
But yeah, check it out. If you like, decide for yourself.
Watch it. Please watch it. Support the people.
That's right. Stop complaining that there's not enough stuff if you're not going to support it.
Yeah, I mean, and what else? What else can we do besides prison movies, gang movies?
We can do anything, but the thing is,
we can't do anything. But no, because you know what? There's a lot of really good comedies. Like Best Friends did a great comedy. That movie was
most people didn't see it.
And that other movie that made me cry at the end, which was amazing, where he's the dad and taking care of the little girl. That one got me in the feels. See, that's the thing. Y'all aren't watching it. And they'll give me this, I don't want to read subtitles. Well, shut it. Read subtitles.
The only thing people seem to want right now, because everybody's butthurt, whether it's, and I'm not saying it's not warranted, but they only want watered down stories that show empowerment of this, and it has to tell you it's empowerment. Like, this is an empowerment of this character.
It is.
Trying to rise up to, because the bigger picture is it's this guy fighting to save his family.
Yeah, and he wants to get out of this.
It's not just him running around committing crime.
No, he wants no part of this at all. And that's the struggle of the whole movie.
And you have an empowered character. There's a lot of strong females, whether they're criminals or not.
Oh, and there's a ton of beautiful women in this movie too, by the way.
But it's just, people just want to say, okay, I want a film to come out. It's got to be about...
I want it to feel good and be happy.
Yeah, it's got to show that they're good people. It's got to show that they can...
That's not how life works.
Oh, but don't forget, show our culture. And then they show the culture and like, oh, they were showing our culture, but they made it look like this. Why does this guy have to run a taco truck? I'm like, Danny Trejo owns a taco place. Like,
oh, he was so good on the Muppets, this last episode of the Muppets. Sorry. He was on the Muppet Show.
Like,
anyway. Or Muppets Now. Sorry, I got to tell you the right one.
Muppets Now. Anyway, moving on.
So good.
The Tax Collector is available now on demand.
And it's because they're collecting the taxes, you see.
Yes.
The protection money.
Day in the life of the tax collector. Which was, a side note, because of this movie, I had just posted the trailer for this movie, right? Or did an article about it. And then I had to interview Scott Adkins and this director for Legacy of Lies.
Yeah.
Scott Adkins is in a movie called Debt Collectors. The Debt Collector and then the sequel Debt Collectors.
Right. And
so I was talking about the difference between Debt Collectors being this heavy action martial arts flick and then the new one he had done, which was more of a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, I just watched it. And I said, yeah, it just coming off The Tax Collector, and I guess I was expecting something else. And he goes, oh, the one with Shia LaBeouf. I'm like, what? Yeah. No, I meant Debt Collectors. Yeah. I said, I just did a news article about the other one. And he goes, oh.
But at least he knew what movie it was. Yeah. And you love Scott Adkins anyway.
I do. I'm hoping to interview him again soon for his next film.
So good.
So anyway, moving on. So our other film we watched is the very first HBO Max technical original film.
It was kind of cool, right?
And it has the most ridiculous premise, but it is not the movie you think you're going to get, in my opinion. It is a movie called An American Pickle, starring one of my favorites, Seth Rogen.
And
Seth Rogen.
Love it.
He's essentially the only two people in this movie. Like, there's other people.
Much, yeah.
But it falls around those two.
It's really him, you know. He's carrying this movie.
Yeah.
I love it.
So you want to tell the people the premise of the movie?
The premise is there is a man who works in a pickle factory.
In 1919.
And he falls into a vat of pickles. And at the same time, they're closing up the vats because they're like, oh, the building's been condemned. Everybody go home. So they condemn the building, and he is stuck in the vat of pickles. And then
100 years later,
some kids stumble across it. They open up the vat, and the man jumps out.
And he's been preserved in the pickleback.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a stupid premise.
Because, like you said, he would have drowned in the pickle water.
Yes. But, they set up a whole scene to explain how he survived.
Yes.
And it is the most genius way of execution, in my opinion, because he's kind of narrating it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reporters asked a little scientist, doctor, whatever, sitting next to him, how did he survive this? He goes, it's very simple science, you see. And as he starts to part back, he starts talking over the narration. He goes, oh, you wouldn't think it makes sense, but it made perfect. You never hear the explanation.
Well, there is no explanation.
But they show that, okay, the scientists
explained it.
So I honestly never thought about it again after that scene.
Yeah,
it worked so well, I was like, okay, I believe him too, I guess.
It's so funny.
So it's the first beginning of it. It's also, did you notice how the beginning is shot different than the rest of the film?
Yeah, it's narrower.
It's narrow. The color is a little grayer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great running gag with his shovel.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Poor thing. Because he was a ditch digger.
But the whole pickle thing is about this much of the movie.
Yeah.
Pickles play a big part in the movie.
Oh yeah.
But him
Don't
being
worry. The pickles
preserved in the thing. It's really about he meets his, is it great grandson or great?
I think it's just great.
Okay, so it's his great grandson. They find him. They kind of put him together. Of course, Seth Rogen's playing him. So you have Herschel,
yes,
who's
the older man,
the pickled man,
the pickled man,
and then you have, I don't remember the other character's name, but the great grandson, who's in today, and he's an app designer of some sort. Yes. So they're polar opposites.
Ben is the young
what
guy.
Is it?
Ben. Okay.
Ben. So anyway, what'd you think of the movie? You stopped singing about rats. Let's go.
I thought this movie was hilarious. I loved it. It's actually very gets you in the feels because it's about their relationship. They're both looking for something. They're both trying to find their purpose or live their dream and do right by their people. Like Herschel's still trying to do right by his wife, and we find out Ben in a wild way is trying to live up to what his parents want. It's a whole ordeal, and the pickles play a part throughout the thing, but the pickle's not the thing, it's the dream. Like trying to live the dream.
And it's what's interesting I found is this movie kind of tackles almost everything that's going on right now. It deals with religion. It deals with
interracial couples,
cancel culture,
success,
failure, love, a little bit of everything that goes on.
Gay relationships, even technology and how technology can bring someone up, but also tear someone down when someone just lies about you on the internet and it destroys your entire life. I mean, that comes into play.
And I love too that they're two people looking for the exact same thing
in different ways,
but they're completely different. And I remember listening to Seth Rogen on an interview talk about part of the setup for these characters was the ideal of, if my great grandfather met me, he would probably hate me. He would think I was a puss. He would think I'm stupid because, people in that time period, they worked their asses off because they didn't have a choice. That was life.
Yeah.
And, this character being a ditch digger and then, losing everything and then having to go get the job at the pickle factory. And his whole job at the pickle factory was killing rats, chasing them with a club and hitting them.
And he got paid for how many rats he killed. It was like, what?
And then they turn on him. It's like, what? But those kind of dumb jobs existed.
Yeah, that was a real job.
And
it was hard work.
It was a big deal. That's another running gag about seltzer water.
Oh, Lord.
And it's
so retarded, but funny.
So, there's this thing it's kind of spoiler, but not really. When him and his lady friend at the beginning are talking about their dreams.
Yes.
And their dreams, you think about our dreams and the dreams they have.
Yes.
My dream is to have this big house and this and that and this.
Mm-hmm.
Your dreams, I want this $1 billion or whatever. And in this, she's like, I want to have enough money to buy a tombstone.
Yes.
And he's like, I want to drink
with my name on it.
Yeah, and he's like, I want to drink seltzer water.
Yes.
And the bubbles, and you're like, that's it. What?
That was the dream. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. But it's so fun in a way that it deals with all these issues, but also deals with love and loss and family and religion and everything. And it has that one kid that does all the food.
I was going to say Kalen, whatever. Him. He's on Ellen now.
Yes.
He does all like the food thing.
Ellen's in an American Pickle right now.
Yeah, that's right. We won't talk
Anyways.
about that.
But he's fun, and I just love it. And the other thing that's interesting to me is we take for granted how fast technology's grown in 100 years.
Yeah.
Because he walks out into the building and he's like, there's buildings like taller than anything he's ever seen. Because probably back then the tallest building might have been 2 stories high.
Yeah, if that.
And then moving cars, and he's like ready to fight anything that's moving.
And that's what I like too. Is his character is a lot of people back then they saw things about throwing fists.
Yes.
And he kept saying,
he's like, I will with violence.
I'll get violent with you.
With violence.
And he was ready to fight anybody.
And then the funniest, cutest thing is there's this white girl and this black guy walk by, and they're all like, he's like, is she with him? He's like, yes, interracial couples are okay now. He's like, what?
And big props to Seth Rogen because he is nailing the accent.
That's what I was going to ask. So is it Hebrew or Yiddish, or what did he have to learn?
He said it, and I don't remember what he said in the thing, because I don't even think it's standard. I think it's like an even older language. Like they had to bring a guy in that spoke
because this is 100 years ago.
Yeah, and he did the accent himself. He said he didn't learn the language. They had somebody that would yell the dialogue offset to him, so he could say it in that language, because he goes, "There's no way."
Hebrew's got a lot of.
Yeah, he goes, "There's no way I can learn it." But
learning Yiddish.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh!
But did you notice that he did not do the laugh not once in this whole movie?
I know that I didn't know. Well, because I felt like this movie wasn't like a laughy,
laugh out
loud movie.
It's a comedy,
really
but it's
dramedy.
Dramedy, thank you.
It is. There's a lot of there's some heavy stuff happening in this movie, and if you notice, I thought too it was interesting that like Seth Rogen's always kind of in like muted tones, and even like in his apartment, everything's very muted. Like there's color compared to Herschel's time,
but their wardrobes are the same.
Yeah, it's the same, and he's like kind of in that same state of like sadness, and then you get outside and it's really bright everywhere else. Except for him and Herschel, I think they're in that same like you said, they're in the same level trying to find the same thing. They just don't realize it. Yeah. It's really interesting. I like the use of color.
And I thought there was an interesting twist of, 2 of the big elements are religion, and then it takes a big twist in immigration as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it deals with public religion and being whatchamacallit with other people in their religions. Were you accepting and acknowledge like and this guy's like but it does that, religion and worship, and
it also deals with how
politics
and how easy this immigration stuff is
immigration
goes horribly wrong for people.
Yes, that was probably the funniest scene. It's like, there's just one thing. It's like, okay, that happened, and you're like, that didn't happen that fast. I'm like, oh, it's weird. It's crazy.
Well, that, and remember they just like kind of there's a scene where somebody gets deported, and I'm not going to tell you which character because it's not who you think.
No.
But it's not like normal deportation. They're putting them on a freight liner.
So
I'm like, that is not how they do it.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
It's a great movie.
I
really like this movie.
I thought it was.
I think even if you aren't a normal Seth Rogen fan, you would still like the movie.
Yeah, you will. And why were you not be a Seth Rogen fan? What is wrong with you?
There are people I know that he annoys them to no end.
Oh, he's
But
so
I tell you
fun.
what, he is like one of the hardest working people in Hollywood.
He is in everything, isn't he?
Well,
he's
outside
so
of him
busy.
being in everything,
and he has that charity with his wife. I mean, he cares about stuff.
Well, 2 now, but he had.
I hope my thing
didn't
go
2,
off.
but now 3. Or had 3, but now 2 TV shows that I'm aware of. Because he had Preacher, which was their show.
Yeah.
They have The Boys currently on, which has been picked up for season 2 and 3.
Cool.
He's got, I think it's called Black Monday on HBO, I think, with Don Cheadle.
Wow.
That they produce. Then they're constantly got movies they're writing and directing and anyway.
That's interesting. I was just reading one of his interviews where he's thinking back to his Eastern European family that came here and how hard they worked. They had nothing. They suffered hardships. And he was like, my life has been incredibly easy.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It's a really good movie. You should watch it. Oh my gosh, there's a dog butt in my face. So sorry.
Now the problem is you have to have HBO Max to watch this.
How do I get HBO Max?
HBO Max is very simple to get.
Okay.
You pay for it. It's like $7.99 or $5.99.
But do you just add it
They have
on
like
to
a 3-month. No,
like
well,
Hulu
you can add it on to Hulu, I believe.
or Amazon or.
If you have your HBO Go account, like through Hulu, I believe you automatically get it.
Oh, okay.
It just transfers over.
Okay, I got it.
Like with our case, we had it through Amazon, and they didn't have it in Amazon yet, so I had to get it through on my phone app.
Oh.
But I got it for like a 3-month thing of like $4.99 or something.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Or I don't know how long it is, and then it'll shift to
Just
the normal.
Make sure you transfer all accounts to one.
Yeah, but then it'll change to like I think it's the same price as buying a normal HBO channel when you get it. But HBO Max has like a lot of original stuff happening. It's got a brand new Looney Tunes cartoon. Yeah. It's throwing up tons of old TV shows and things like that up there. They've also going to be playing the Justice League Zack Snyder cut of it next year. So that's a big deal coming to it. But this is like the first big movie release. It was a Sony release. It was supposed to be theatrical. Corona knocked it out as well, but HBO Max picked it up. Yeah. And gave it that kind of release. So.
Oh, the other thing, they're like, how would this man from 100 years ago wake up speaking perfect English? We don't ask these questions. That's so funny.
And if you listen to him, he doesn't speak perfect English. It's very broken English.
It is. I loved it. It was great.
It is great.
You should watch it. And you should just be a Seth Rogen fan.
I love Seth Rogen.
The interesting thing is randomly, I don't know if I want to spoil that at the very, very end.
The after credit scene?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say it like I said in the review. There's an after credit sequence that is really funny that connects. It's essentially them watching a movie, the two guys. But they're watching a movie that is very directly connected to their heritage. Yes. Their Judaism. But also to a previous Seth Rogen film.
That I love. Yes. This is my favorite Seth Rogen movie.
And
it's so funny because I had mentioned it while we were watching that movie. I was like, oh, remember when he did this movie with what's this person's name?
and it's funny because when I interviewed Seth Rogen for This Is the End, which is one of my favorites of his, I mentioned that my wife was a big fan of that specific movie, and he's like, she's the only one.
Oh, I loved that movie.
One of the things, though, I think I mentioned to you, it was very interesting listening to him in this interview he did talking about this movie, is they were asking about when they do ideas, because him and his writing partner, they've been working together forever. Yeah. And they typically write most of their projects, or produce them at least. And, with Sausage Party and Superbad and all these films. But he was talking about, does he care about box office and how does this kind of film work and being on HBO Max? And he's like, he goes, obviously that stuff matters. He goes, but I look at stuff that I think is going to last. He goes, I want to take a project that not only do I love, that I'm not interested in, but I think make a movie that's going to stick with people later. Yeah. He made this great point of his most successful film he's ever been in his entire career was Green Hornet.
Really?
And I love that movie. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people didn't, but I enjoyed it. But he goes, it made $200+ million. He goes, but when was the last time you heard anybody talk about it until me mention it now? Yeah. He goes, you go look at a movie like Pineapple Express. Mm-hmm. People talk about it all the time, and it made far less than that. Mm-hmm. He goes, because that movie had something that stood out. Yeah. So, the movies, like the movie The Interview that he did that had all that super controversy and caused him to have to get like private security detail and because they thought they were going to be killed by Korea and all this stuff. That movie made him no longer want to be a director because he directed that movie. And after all that shit went down, I don't know if he's still against it, but anyway. So, An American Pickle is now available on HBO Max. If you have HBO Max as part of it, and it's good times. Okay. All right, so check it out. So before we go into whatever you're already setting up over there, and I'm not even prepared on my side for that yet, I want to dive into a couple of TV show things. Okay. The specific one is because it's already been out for a little bit. Hold on, pull it up. Is the final season of Hawaii Five-0.
You can't see me dance.
Does anybody want to see you dance?
Yes, you do.
So this was the 10th, I believe. Yep. The 10th and final
season. The farewell season.
Yes. And you had finished watching it while it was on. I was behind, so I had to get caught up and finish watching it. Yes. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is, we like discussing when shows how they wrap them up and all that kind of thing. And this show had some controversy a few seasons back.
It did.
Where Daniel Day Kim and oh my God, I just went blank. I remember her name now.
The sweet Asian lady.
Anyway, two of the Asian characters left the show because they weren't being paid enough reportedly, or weren't being paid equal to the other cast members, and so they walked. So
it doesn't happen to just brown people.
I know. So they and who knows if there was more to the story? I don't know. So they had brought in new cast members to kind of replace them, not as the same characters. Grace Park, thank you. I love her. I can't believe I forgot her name. She's also from Battlestar Galactica. But they brought in some new characters who were doing fine. But talking about the end of the show, we got 10 seasons of a show that never should have worked.
Yeah.
I remember watching the first episode of this first season, and I'm like, this is going to be so stupid. The Hawaii Five-0 will never work.
I love some Hawaii Five-0.
I was never a fan of the original.
Oh, see, my family, we watched Hawaii Five-0 all the time, and my dad loved Jack Lord.
Well, this is not the same Hawaii Five-0.
It's not.
It's very
but my parents did watch this one too.
Did they really?
They did.
The whole 10 seasons?
I don't know if they watched the whole 10 seasons, but they watched it because they cared about McGarrett, and they're like, oh, that's McGarrett's kid. Yes.
That's funny.
And my dad doesn't like Dano because he's like, I don't like his hair. His hair weird. I'm like, okay.
You make your dad sound
because my dad loves hair. My dad's hair is luscious, and my dad has this whole
Her dad has like Benny Hinn hair.
He has a beautiful coiffed hair, and he cares very much about hair.
He's got super hairspray hair.
Yes, he's got
with like the little gray patch in it and everything. He's super. He's a minister. He's got minister hair.
He's got pastor hair for sure. Go ahead.
Anyway,
sorry.
So if you never watched any of the seasons of Hawaii Five-0. This version of the show, we thought was originally when the show came on, we all thought it was just a reimagining of the series. It's way more action heavy, more gritty, but it's still the case of the week kind of thing. Yeah. With every season always having an underlying bigger picture story.
I like that this one had an arc all the way through to the very end.
Well, we thought the arc was over.
We thought
because it was dealing with a low fat. Played by Martin Dacascos for many seasons, but they had finally killed him about halfway through the season or a couple seasons back. So you think that's over, but the low-fat story was not over. So this season kind of circled back, dealing with the aftermath of some of the low-fat stuff that tarkened back all the way to the very first episode of the show to wrap it up.
I'm telling you.
But what we found out as this show was going on, that this show was actually kind of a continuation.
It was a continuation.
Even though it wasn't Jack Lord in the show, the guy was still supposed to be some variation of the same character.
So this is McGarrett's kid.
Yeah, complete with one of the original actors that played a standard patrolman officer in the series was in this show like as a regular.
Yeah, throughout the whole thing, which is really cool.
And they even brought in a few characters over the seasons that were like playing characters that they played in an episode of the original show.
The original show. And that's what I like, that they would use some of the clips from the original show in this one to kind of connect
solve cases. And,
And then this season we had some crossovers with
Magnum PI.
Magnum PI. What'd you think of that? I didn't get to talk to you about it.
I haven't watched the new Magnum PI.
I watched all of that.
I know. Today. But I did not watch it for any reason other than I just haven't watched it.
Well, I watched it to support Jay Hernandez. Hey, if you want
I like Jay Hernandez, which I had interest in watch the show. I just never got around to it. I liked him in the show. He's very much McGarrett, but more of a laid back version. It's essentially the same character, just he's not as crazy as the McGarrett, Alex O'Loughlin character. I did not like Higgins, the version of Higgins in there. She just annoyed me. But if I watch the regular show, she might grow on me. I don't know. We'll see. And I like Dano in this show. I like Scott Conn. I always have.
I do. I don't have a problem with
it. It's crazy because he's very much his dad.
Yeah.
He's very much. I mean, he's his own vibe, but he moves like James Conn. He kind of has the same kind of demeanor.
He's this weird posture thing.
Yeah, it's perfect posture.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And James Conn was the same way. James Conn would do stuff like he would be fighting or something. Oops, sorry. Like he would hit somebody and he'd be standing up, pull his pants up. Right, like get fixing himself, and he's perfectly straight, so he looks like he's doing like this, and like, and I always think of that same scene when when
we see Dana.
So anyway, so what were your feelings on how the show ended?
I was blubbering at the end. I think it wrapped up well.
It did do that.
That I did like, and it connected everything. I do not like that we didn't have a mention of the people who were no longer on the show.
Well, we got a lot of mentions of Grace Park.
Yeah.
Because of the Adam character, which was her ex-husband.
Yeah.
And his connection to the Yakuza and stuff. So he would mention his ex-wife and talk about her a lot, but never...
I do like how it wrapped up. The last episode, I was blubbering. I was crying all over the place because I'm like, it's ending. It was sad.
I thought it was a perfect ending. I thought it was a great ending. I didn't get the emotion from it, but I think
everybody on the show was blubbering.
I think it's because it was missing the characters that were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was, as much as I was invested in some of these new characters, I didn't have as much a connection to them as I would have had. It had those other ones shown up, which I was so hoping they would, at least for a quick cameo. You would think they would have shelled out the money and said, "Hey, we want to wrap the show up. We want to bring you guys back. Can you come to?" They may have offered it. They may have told them to go screw themselves. Who knows?
Yeah. Well,
But I was bummed that we didn't get to see them return. I'm also very irritated that Chuck Norris makes an appearance in this season for the most useless cameo in the history of cameos.
Because there's no kicking.
Well, it's just like it's
basically get off my land.
He is. He serves no point, and it bothered me because I'm like, if you're going to bring a Chuck Norris in, even if he doesn't fight, give him more dialogue, give him more things to do other than don't bother that boy, leave that boy alone. It's not what you think. Then we never see him again, and I'm like, was Chuck Norris on vacation and they just said, "Hey, do you want to be in the movie?"
It's like, "Hey, do you want to come to Hawaii for a week? We'll only make you work one day."
Or maybe that was his house. I'm like, "Can we use your vacation home to shoot the scene? We'll put you in the beginning of it." So that kind of annoyed me because when he first popped up, I'm like, "Oh yeah, Chuck's gonna smack somebody," because there's kind of a confrontation, and he even has a line where he's like, "You don't want to do that," and I'm like, "Oh, Chuck's about to kick you in your face." And then nothing. But anyway, I love the show. I thought it was a great show. I like this arcs. It has great action in it. I think it wrapped up nicely. It will be missed.
Yeah. So
if you've never watched Hawaii Five-0, all 10 seasons are now available.
Watch it.
Are now available on CBS All Access, I believe, as well as Blu-ray, DVD, whatever.
Yeah. Watch it. Watch it now. What else?
I don't know if I was going to talk about any of these over here.
We have good lighting today. I'm just saying, both of us.
Do you have any show you'd like to tell people about just real quick before we head out? She got nothing.
I have so much stuff I've been watching. I don't even know.
All right. Well, don't forget we got giveaways going on. We'll just start wrapping it up.
Okay.
We got some giveaways still happening. We're giving away copies of The High Note. We're giving away copies of Gundala. It's an Indonesian superhero flick. We're giving away copies of A Dog's Courage, which I don't think the contest is up yet, but it should be, which is a Korean animated film about dogs. We still have a couple of copies of Samurai Marathon left, and I got a couple other 4K contests fixing to come up with some older stuff. It should include, should I tell them?
Yes. What I want to know.
Because you want to know?
I want to know. What does it include?
Well, we may... In theory, I'm waiting for them to arrive, so obviously I can't put the contest up till they actually show up. But I have been told that we're going to have copies of both Sherlock Holmes films on 4K to give away, the Robert Downey Jr. ones.
I like it.
We're going to have copies of The Goonies on 4K to give away.
Goonies.
Copies of Beetlejuice on 4K.
That's like one of the first little records I bought for it was a Cyndi Lauper Goonies song.
Oh, Lord. Beetlejuice on 4K.
Don't say it more than one time.
Beetlejuice.
No!
Candyman.
No.
And there's a mirror right there. I'm going to do it in a minute. And then also upcoming is 300 on 4K.
And we were talking about that the other day because my Achilles was hurting.
That's from Troy.
Oh, that was Troy.
What's wrong with you?
Sorry. I thought it was Troy.
I
like 300.
We're also giving away a copy of Legacy of Lies, Scott Adkins'
You're a Legacy of Lies
thriller. This marriage is a lie.
Your marriage is a lie.
So make sure you go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
and get in on the contest and the fun.
Hit the contest button.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So come out on Blu-ray and DVD this week. Let's see if there's anything coming because it's been slim pickings.
I like slim pickings.
I think so. Not him. What is this week?
The 18th.
We have the 11th?
11th.
All right. So this week we have The High Note is hitting. Blacklist, the complete 7th season.
I need to watch that because I am behind.
Are you?
Yeah, it's like a season and a half.
How to Build a Girl, starring Beanie Feldstein.
That was such a good movie.
Which we talked about. We did an episode.
You need to watch it.
The Wretched, which we'll talk about next week.
Ooh, I keep thinking we needed to watch it and we didn't because I got scared, and I'm okay now because I can watch it in the middle of the day at home.
Okay.
In the sunlight.
I think that's pretty much the only big stuff. There's a few other things here and there, but those are the big ones.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's coming out on the digital online world. There's still movies coming out, you guys. So on video on demand and digital, there's this movie called Monstrous. It's about a lady who thinks she's going to look for Bigfoot, and it ends up being monsters.
Oh, yes.
What it
I
sounds
have a
like.
screener for that.
Okay, it sounds really creepy.
You want to watch it, I have a screener for it.
Then there's this movie, also video on demand and digital, called Pearl.
Is it about Pearl Bailey?
No, it's about a girl who loses her parents, and somebody takes her in, and we think he might be her dad. We don't really know what's happening.
But no Pearl Bailey.
No. Then coming out Friday, let's see, video on demand and digital, something called Cut and Chop.
I'm looking for it.
It's about some weird method actor, but he starts acting weird for the art to make the movie. I don't even know how it is. Coming on Netflix, something called Project Power.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Has Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Machine Gun Kelly, Jamie Foxx, and a whole bunch of people.
It's a superhero flick.
And it's about people, like you can go take a pill and it gives you superpowers. But everybody gets a different power.
Yeah, and you only have it for a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
it actually looks pretty good.
Interesting. I'm trying to see what's coming on the line. Apple TV, something called Boys State. Don't even know what that's about.
I am hoping that this week, if it's still playing, that we may actually journey out into the world and go to the theater. Because there's a couple of theaters open.
There's like 3 that we know of.
Yeah. And of course there's social distancing and there's spaces in the seat stuff. But they're showing Empire Strikes Back. I'd like to go see it.
I think it's like
I have seen it on the big screen.
$4 movie. I don't think I ever have.
Really?
I don't think I've seen any of the originals on the big screen.
I saw Return of the Jedi when it came out. Because that was my first one in the theater. Because my parents were late to the party of the Star Wars thing to take me. But then I got to see all 3 of them when they got the special edition re-release on the big screen.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to go check it out. Yeah, and I'm interested what the other theater, what Kettle Corn has available. So, we'll see.
That's what I was telling you about.
Yeah. I'm all about watching.
So we're going to probably go and brave it for 2 reasons. One, I
would like to watch that.
We did.
On a big screen?
We saw that in the theater.
Maybe.
It's been that long.
It's been that
long.
That's
the last movie we saw in the theater. Bloodshot.
Oh my gosh.
We've seen every one of these movies.
I know, but did we see one in the theater? I didn't see Angry Birds.
You didn't see the second one?
No, I didn't. I don't remember seeing the first one.
Oh, that's the first one.
Oh, that might be fun.
We've seen that.
Not in the theater?
I did.
I didn't?
Okay. I saw every one of these in the theater.
Oh my god.
This is what I was thinking about taking the class to.
Yes, that would be fun. Anyway, so of course they're showing old things, but I'll pay $4 or $5.
Invisible Man and Bloodshot are probably the 2 newest movies, and neither one of them are doing anymore.
I'll pay some $4 or $5 to watch a movie in a theater and get some popcorn and some snacks. Oh yeah, I am dying for some chips and queso right now at a theater. I don't want the ones I made at home.
Nachos.
I know mine are really good.
I asked my buddy that works at Alamo, and he said that Alamo was not open.
Not even the little restaurant thing, the bar.
He said now the one in Lake Collins might be. He doesn't know, but the one over there in Richardson or whatever.
I saw the bar open. Like the lights were on.
Yeah, the lights are probably on.
I bet the bar is open. I don't want that.
I don't think the bar is open either. I don't think they're doing anything that's open. But who knows? It doesn't matter.
Oh well.
Anyway, that's
what's happening. We're desperate to get to a theater.
We're not desperate. I'm desperate. You know what's weird is I really haven't missed it.
I just like the experience of going to the theater.
Don't get me wrong. I miss
popcorn and snacks.
I love seeing movies. I miss the theater
and I like
experience.
the rumble.
Yeah, I do. And
I miss.
And we're fixing to hopefully build us our own home theater.
Yeah, so we'll have our own rumble. Then I won't miss it.
But
as long as you make me popcorn.
Before we sign off, let's discuss this Mulan thing.
Yes.
So if you don't know the news, they announced that Mulan is going to be coming to Disney Plus. It is the first big budget tentpole movie that's getting the streaming release. Now, the catch is you have to have a Disney Plus subscription, which is like $8 a month. But they're treating it just like the standard early release pay-per-views, which are normally about $20.
Yeah.
But this one's going to be $30. So you're paying an additional $30 on top of your existing Disney Plus subscription. The other catch to that is you will keep it on Disney Plus.
So
as long as you have your Disney Plus, you can watch as many times as you want.
Well, then that's okay.
Now, the other side of that is if you wait however many months, it will eventually come to Disney Plus for free.
Yeah.
It's like all the other Disney stuff. Or Blu-ray, DVD. Now, I also read that Disney is stopping making 4Ks. It sounds like they're getting out of the 4K business.
Oh.
I don't know if it's because they're not making as much money with the 4Ks because they are higher priced.
Yeah.
That was the last article I read. Was they've released a few of the old ones, but they will not be releasing many more after that. But what is your thoughts on this whole thing with? That's not out. They got pulled.
I know. Why is it saying they're showing?
Well, I mean, you can look and see, but
okay, sorry.
See? So it said August 21st.
I don't have a problem paying $30 for extra for a movie because I'm thinking if we went in the evening, 2 tickets, that's what? Easily 20, 30
Well, here's the reason I asked for anybody
plus
who's like
popcorn and a drink and some candies.
Because the first argument that hit everybody is when somebody says you got to pay $30. Obviously, everybody's gonna be like $30. But the argument of a lot of people, some friends that I've had some heated discussions with, but we're still friends because we're not crazy people, were the fact that they felt like it was price gouging by Disney by making you get Disney Plus and paying something on top of it. But to me, it's the same as paying for the early release privilege. Now, at that time, they also thought it was a one-time watch, like you had it for 24 hours.
Oh, I think you get it forever.
And it came out later on that the Disney people said, no. As long as you have Disney Plus, it stays there. You're essentially paying the privilege to see it early. But if you go to the movie theater, like you were just saying, 2 tickets, snacks,
popcorn,
anything else,
drinks,
you're going to easily spend $30 to $50 bucks. And that's if it's just 2 people getting basic stuff.
And think if it's a Disney movie, you're taking your 2 or 3 kids and everybody wants a snack pack that's $6.99 each, plus the kids' tickets. I mean, that's easily, what, 70 bucks?
Yeah, because I saw some people saying this is a fairly great deal.
Yeah,
for me, I have to spend $100 when I go to the movies.
Oh my gosh. I would not go if I was.
I know, I'm just saying that's what they're saying based on how much they'd have to pay. So I like the idea. Now, I mean, the big discrepancy
if it was free, hey, we'd like that even better.
Is it setting a bad precedent? And I say no, because to me, in the bigger picture, fans look at all this stuff and they're like, but we're the fans. We're the ones that want to see it. We're the ones that support you. But it's still a business.
Yeah, it is.
They have to make money. And if they just throw it on Disney Plus, they're not making money back on that movie. Because they're existing subscribers.
Right.
But people that really want to see it and say, hell yeah, I'll get a Disney Plus subscription, they'll make money that way and keep subscribers.
Yeah.
I think it's a genius business move.
Yeah.
And it's one that doesn't screw you over in the bigger picture because
it's just like Amazon Movies that has their own movies. You have to pay to watch the movies on the Amazon thing.
Even though you already have it, pay for Amazon Prime or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they release their
I
things.
think
it's going back to the old way in old Hollywood where like MGM had the MGM theater and that's where you watch their movies.
Yeah. Well, and I think if it was a case where they were saying the only way you'll ever see this movie is you do it like this. But the fact that in a few more months you can have your Blu-ray, your DVD, or it's going to show up on Disney Plus for no charge, then there's nothing being gouged. There's nobody screwing anybody over. You just are too impatient to wait.
Remember to watch the Corey movie? He's like, the only way to watch my movie is this one time you pay this much to me. And nobody said anything. People paid it.
Well, no, because of the controversy.
You wanted to know who it was.
But I really want to see.
He's been trying to name this name for 20 years.
I really want to see the new Mulan movie, and damn right, I'm going to pay for it.
I'm going to pay for it. I would.
And I'm hoping.
If you wouldn't, I would.
And it's going to be hitting in September, I believe, or the end of August, beginning September.
I'm so excited to see this movie.
Which, at the end of August, the new Bill and Ted is going to be on demand.
Excellent.
So I'm very excited to watch that. I'm hoping we'll have the new theater set up by then.
Yeah.
And then
we'll be sitting here with like some
cool surround
sound, full wall theater thing. It's going to be awesome.
Hopefully.
I'm ready. See, I'm leaning back. Got my popcorn.
Seeing how it feels.
Popcorn.
So we're hoping that we create our own theater. Because here's the thing: is outside of our love of movies, the mindset, and I think a mindset of a lot of people, is this whole pandemic.
It's going to change everything.
The world is going to change, but I think a lot of people are going to become self-sufficient in their life, whether it's gardening, growing your own vegetables, or herbs.
I'm ready to grow my own vegetables.
We ironically were blessed enough that we had already created an environment that we don't need to leave. Other than needing food, There's no other reason to leave this house.
But we could have it delivered technically.
That's what I'm saying. Other than just having the food.
Yeah, but I'm fine just going and picking up and come back.
And we were doing grocery pickup well before this all happened.
So it wasn't a change for us.
For just because convenience, and I would much prefer to be able to go teach all my classes because martial art teaching is a little bit different than online.
You do need to be there.
I think it's very important for you to, we built our own gym here. Not everybody has the space for that or the money for that. We don't have the money for it. We spent time buying this whole thing here, buying this thing here. And I think it's going to change everything because especially now that you get a house or build a house, it seems like the home theaters are part of every single build.
Yeah, it is now.
Option. So it's like eventually people are going to have the setups at their house, and theaters are going to be kind of a gone thing. I honestly think.
Yeah.
I hope they're not because I do love going to sit in the movie theater.
I do too, but I mean, we'll do what we have.
I'm tired. I'd love to never leave my house again, but anyway.
Yeah.
Do your thing, sister.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Make sure you check out that contest button up at the top. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you.
You're so weird.
I'd love to. Just see what's going on.
I don't know if we're going to have our other 2 shows this week. I may not be able to do Martial Art Movie Monday tomorrow because I have heavy deadlines I'm working on, and so I may not get around to it. And same thing on our TV Tuesday, which I will be missing because we haven't done that one in a couple weeks anyway. But they will be back soon, and we're actually pondering another couple of little mini shows that we may start doing throw out there for nobody to watch, just like they don't watch this one.
There you go.
But anyway, either way, if I am, hopefully I'll be back. I do got to do part 2 for the Blood Fist series, so if I can get some time, I'll do it tomorrow. I did the first 4 films in Blood Fist franchise last Monday. I'm hoping to do the other 4 tomorrow, but if not, I'll do them the following Monday, and then we'll get to TV Tuesday eventually and get caught up with everything.
There you go.
But we will be back next Sunday for another episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Hopefully I won't have heat stroke this time. And
poor baby.
I'll be more upbeat. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful day. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends you love them. Hug people.
Yes, be nice.
Don't hug anybody. You're not allowed to touch them.
Yes.
Anyway, give it Air 5.
Distance.
Air 5. Social distance. Wear your mask. Stop being jerks. All right. Bye.
Bye.